On this special edition of Ncba's Cattleman to Cattleman from San Antonio, Texas.
On this week's special edition from San Antonio, we'll hear what cattle producers are anticipating in the year ahead, plus the latest on all the issues ranchers are facing in Washington, D.C.
And now, your host, Kevin Oxner from San Antonio, Texas.
Hello and welcome to Ncba's Cattleman to Cattleman. I'm Kevin Oxner. Thanks for joining us as we continue our coverage from the 2015 Cattle Industry Convention and Ncba trade show here in San Antonio. High beef prices have cattle producers feeling good in the early goings of 2015. We asked several of them to share their thoughts on how they hope the rest of the year goes for the beef industry.
Well, first of all, I'm from California, so I want it to rain. I would like to have grass. My hopes for the industry this next year is that we can continue to bring a good product to the public.
Just that it continues to grow and have good export markets.
I hope we have another year similar to last year, that we keep these beef prices up, that our consumers keep saying, no, beef is not overpriced. It is worth it for the value and the flavorful taste that we get from today's beef product.
Well, the cattle market price is nice. The corn market price is in our favor a little bit, and we're in the process of expanding our cow-calf herd and building on what we've already started.
Well, to stay where it's at, price-wise, it is in demand. If it'll stay where it's at, everybody will be all right.
I hope to see that demand is still there, and I hope that the supply increases. I mean, people are always going to want beef on their plate, so we need to continue increasing the supply of it.
Hopefully we can, capitalize on what we've done the last year, and keep getting our message across to consumers.
My son hopefully will be the fifth generation on our farm, and I want nothing more for him to have the same opportunities that I have had. And I hope 2015 will be a good, profitable year for us as cattlemen, and certainly we want to provide that opportunity for young people to come back to the farm.
One group that everyone wanted to hear from at the Cattle Industry Convention is the folks at Cattle Facts, and their 2015 Outlook session was one of the biggest draws in San Antonio. Here with more on what we can expect for 2015 is Kevin Good, Senior Analyst at Cattle Facts. Kevin, thanks for taking a couple minutes to come to the show with us.
It's good to be with you today, Kevin.
Weather has been such a key driver the last couple of years. What did Dr. Art Douglas say about what we can expect in 2015?
Well, he was rather optimistic looking from a long-term perspective. If we look back, we've been in a drought cycle here in the United States for the last really 15 to 18 years, and he's more optimistic that what we started to see last year, started to see the drought loosen up, especially in the central southern plains. Yes, we're still dry in the west coast, but it's starting to get some moisture there at least. He would suggest as we go on into 2015 through this year on into 16 and 17, the weather patterns are starting to change and we'll have a more normal amount of precip. Yes, we'll still have some dry pockets in the west this year, but they'll get some relief, and generally speaking, he's pretty optimistic from a long-term perspective.
Let's talk feed markets for a minute. What a difference 12 months have made.
Oh, absolutely. As you think about corn production in the last 2 years, we've back-to-back 14 billion bushel crops. We've got a stocks-to-use ratio that's rather high here in the United States. Globally, you've got a high stocks-to-use ratio for corn, beans, and wheat, so you've got quite a bit of product around the globe. With that being the case, the prospects for a good planting season as we come up, we've got plenty of moisture in the corn belt. We would envision that corn could average, we've got it pegged at 360 for this marketing year based off the futures, spot futures. That compares to 415 last year, so we've got some input relief as we think about cattle production.
We've talked a lot about international markets and $300+ of value coming from the export market. I wanted to ask you specifically about the international financial situation, strength of the dollar. What's that going to mean in terms of beef exports in the coming year?
As we look at it, the dollar has strength, and if we looked at year over year, it's 10% stronger than it was a year ago at the same time frame compared to the other currencies that we trade with. So that is a concern. As we think about the strength of the dollar, we would assume that it's going to stay pretty strong. And here, you should think from a global standpoint, we are kind of the only game in town here short term as we think about the currency and stable economy. And another thing that's taking place right now is we're having some trouble on the West Coast in the ports because there's a labor dispute there between the unions. And with that being the case, there's been a slowdown of shipments of product. So we've got kind of a backlog of beef and more so pork. And so that's really playing havoc here on the front end as far as excess supplies. Production levels for pork and poultry are well above a year ago. We depend very heavily on exports to clear that product. If we don't, we're going to have more of that on the domestic market. Even though beef supplies remain tight, that total supply is actually bigger than a year ago now.
So wrap all these fundamentals and give us your sense of what beef producers should expect from a cattle market outlook in the coming year.
As we think about it, 2014 is one for the record books. Record profits, especially for the cow-calf producer and the stocker and the feed yard side. So we've had a good go. Now, with that good go and better moisture conditions, we are expanding the herd. The first of 2015, beef cow numbers were up 600,000 head, dairy cow numbers up 100,000 head. So as you turn the clock forward here, you can see that we're going to have a bigger calf crop this year. We'll have bigger beef supplies by 2016. So we're turning the corner from the bullish standpoint looking at beef production. We've already turned the corner as far as the bullish news for total meat production. That tightest point was last year because we got more pork and poultry in front of us. You combine that with some of the, you think about the down that we've had in oil. We've lost open interest in the futures contract. Some of those things would suggest that we've seen our absolute high in cattle values into 2014. Yes, prices are going to stay strong this year, but they probably won't be quite as good as what we experienced last year.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your perspective and for summarizing what was a really, really good session.
Thank you, Kevin.
For more expert analysis on the beef industry, visit cattlefacts.com. And joining me now is Colin Woodall, Vice President of Government Affairs for Ncba. Colin, thanks for taking a few minutes to join us here on our set.
Oh, it's always good to be with you, Kevin.
We're about a month into a new Congress and a Republican-controlled House and Senate. Are you seeing any difference in terms of how agricultural issues are being handled?
We are. Actually, we're seeing more excitement in trying to get legislation actually passed by Congress that will help us push back on all of the overburdensome regulations that we're dealing with right now. So it's exciting. We also have a lot of new members who have been appointed to both the House and Senate Ag Committees who are really new to agriculture, new to this arena, but they have a passion on trying to learn what we're doing and to step up and help us because they understand that their policies, their votes that they take every day are going to have a huge impact on our livelihood.
Absolutely. We've talked a lot about a number of issues over the last couple of months, but probably none more often than Waters of the United States. Give us an update on where we stand on that.
The Waters of the United States proposal by the EPA has been one of the top issues for us for quite some time. The comment period closed back in November, and there were over 1 million comments submitted. The only problem is about 50% of them were for the rule and 50% of them against the rule. So it really wasn't a definitive answer. So right now, the EPA continues to look at all those comments, but they are pushing forward for a final rule to implement this. We could see that final rule sometime this spring. So our salvation comes in this new Congress, especially both the House and Senate getting together and passing legislation to stop this cold, and that's what we're pushing for and that's what we're supporting.
Very good. And each year you're given an opportunity, Ncba is, to establish some priorities relative to the legislative priorities for the year ahead. What do you see as the key priorities in 2015?
Well, of course, EPA tops that list. Waters of the United States in particular. Yep. Outside of that, we need to make sure we're continuing to look at trade, but trade based on science. We cannot expose ourselves to a foreign animal disease just for the sake of trade. We're going to talk a lot about that. We're also very focused on the dietary guidelines and what USDA and the Department of Health and Human Services are doing right now to review and revise those particular guidelines. And of course, we're also looking at tax reform. So these are all top of our list when it comes to 2015.
So I want to follow up on tax reform. Obviously, we got some relief late in the year, very late in the year. What prospects do you see of making that tax relief permanent?
We are actually very optimistic that this new Congress, since it's controlled by the Republicans in both the House and the Senate, that they are willing to move forward and actually do comprehensive tax reform to ensure that we don't have a repeat of what we went through at the end of the year. All of us on the producer side, we need to make sure that we have some certainty when it comes to our tax liability, because that certainty has a huge impact on what management decisions that we make. Sure. So we can't allow Congress to really set up and change their mind every 1 or 2 years. So with comprehensive tax reform, we can make a lot of these provisions permanent, such as the conservation tax incentive and also the Section 179 expensing. And it also gives us an opportunity to look again at the death tax, knowing that that's still a big burden for us. So both the House and Senate are going to work on that. In fact, we're going to see some bills in February that the House will vote on, which will lead into this bigger discussion.
Very good. We've heard a lot of talk here at convention about exports, the importance of international markets.
Right.
What can you tell us about the prospects for some of these international trade agreements in 2015?
Right now, the focus is on Trade Promotion Authority, TPA. This is the ability for the president to go out and negotiate trade deals on our behalf, and it's something that the president wants, and it's something that we support and the Republicans in Congress support. We've got to get that done first. Once that vote is taken, then we'll be able to look at some of the other trade agreements that are in the queue. But really, our focus is on TPA. We can probably get that done sometime here before the first quarter is done. Then we will really race towards getting the Trans-Pacific Partnership completed, because it's so important, especially when you look at our access into Japan. To be able to get the Trans-Pacific Partnership done is a high priority as well.
Thanks for coming. It's certainly some of the most encouraging words we've heard out of Washington for some time.
We're optimistic and looking forward to it, so thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, Colin. One way you can help protect the future of the beef industry is by becoming a member of Ncba. Joining is easy to do. Just give us a call at 1-866-USA-BEEF or visit the website beefusa.org. Still ahead on Ncba's Cattleman to Cattleman, we'll talk with new Ncba President-elect Tracy Brunner. Plus, we'll take a closer look at last year's U.S. beef export numbers and what we can expect for 2015. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
You're watching Ncba's Cattleman to Cattleman on RFD TV.
Once upon a time, before backpacks came with rollers and games were canceled due to rain, everyone drank their no-whip, black as a miner's day coffee out of cast iron pots. We didn't cook our meat with self-igniting charcoal. Companies didn't hire praise teams to make sure we got enough pats on the back. You had to earn them. Thankfully, there are still a few of us left who believe in hard work, determination, and guts. Guts, after all, is what brings us great things.
Don't miss the 2015 Ncba Legislative Conference in Washington, D.C. It's your opportunity to meet with key congressional and federal agency influencers and to let them know where cattlemen and women stand on critical issues that impact the cattle business and our way of life. Make plans to be in Washington, D.C. March 24th to the 26th for the 2015 Ncba Legislative Conference. Together, we can do more. Details at beefusa.org.
Joining us now on set is Ncba President-elect Tracy Brunner. Welcome to the show, Tracy.
Thank you, Kevin.
You know, it seems like every time we get together, we always talk about weather, so I have to ask you, what's the weather situation and specifically the moisture situation looking like in Kansas?
Well, it seems to be steadily improving, Kevin. In fact, we had another inch of rain just over the past weekend. We're slowly catching up. We do need a little stock water, or pond water, if you will, for the summer grazing, but fairly confident that the moisture patterns have changed enough and that'll arrive on time.
I'm always interested because your family is involved in so many segments of the industry, from seed stock all the way through the stock operation, feed yard, and so forth. What's your general mood as we move into 2015 throughout the entire beef cattle industry?
Gosh, Kevin, with all that's gone on in the industry in the past few years and leading up to today, how could anyone be anything but excited and exuberant? We've got the greatest producer prices that we've had ever. We've got the strongest demand growth that we've seen from year to year, and things on the moisture conditions over most of the country are steadily improving. So we've got expansion going on at the ranch level, heifers being retained, the cow herd starting to grow a little bit. these are really exciting times to be in the cattle business.
Fun time to be in the cattle business indeed. And let's talk about your leadership background. You've served as a leader both on the state and national level. And I know you're very passionate about that state and national partnership. Why do you think that's so important in our industry?
Well, we've had the opportunity to be involved in cattle industry organizational work for several years and see the value of being involved at whatever level that a producer is able to fit into their daily responsibilities. I've had opportunity to work at the local, state, and now at the national level and enjoy and learn from it greatly. So I guess I do see the value of it and continue to strongly believe in the importance of working to support our industry.
I'd like to focus a little bit on the policy side of our organization for a moment. And what do you perceive to be some of the key priorities or most important issues from a policy standpoint?
Well, I guess I would single out 3 policy issues that I believe are currently foremost. First would be the Waters of the U.S. proposal. The Environmental Protection Agency published a rule expanding federal jurisdiction over the waters in the United States. We've been pushing back hard. The battle isn't over yet, but the tide has started to turn, and we're going to keep pushing back hard and try and score another win for private property rights here in the United States. And the second one that comes to mind is the dietary guidelines. The dietary guidelines, as issued by the USDA, are revised every 5 years. We're actively involved in that year-round and through that 5-year period. Currently, a new 5-year dietary guidelines are being written. Ncba is actively involved in supplying dietary information and input so that the important role of beef as high-quality protein in the diet of Americans and recommendations from our government will be included. And then lastly, and perhaps most immediately important, is trade. You know, our country is currently in the middle of the Trans-Pacific Partnership trade negotiation. Right. And one key foundation for that, Kevin, will be the passage of Trade Promotion Authority, or TPA, in Congress. Our organization is solidly in favor of Trade Promotion Authority, and we think we can help deliver that to the administration so we get these free trade agreements signed that expand markets for cattlemen and beef around the world.
Well, certainly a full plate of issues to address, and I suspect you're going to be a very busy guy over the next couple of years.
Well, really excited and looking forward to it, Kevin.
We'll look forward to having you back again.
Thank you.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about what's happening with Ncba's Cattleman to Cattleman, you can find us on Facebook. Be sure to like our page, and we'll keep you updated with photos, details on upcoming shows, and much, much more. And it's a great way to connect with other cattlemen and cattlewomen across the country. So check us out on Facebook. Still to come on Cattleman to Cattleman, we'll talk U.S. beef exports and see how things are shaping up for 2015. Stay with us.
Well, I think a rancher has to be a steward of the land. There's nobody else that can take care of land better than a rancher can, because he has to make his living off of it. When we switched over to the Bruner products, it was a step in the right direction. And it's really been profitable for us. It just makes that much of a difference.
The difference we see in the cattle is the consistency of their nutrition. They don't go up and down drastically in weight. Every head on this ranch is fed the Purina Superlix 30. If we keep them on that feed, they stay in optimum condition year-round.
The cattle hold their condition a lot better all throughout the whole year. The products they're producing are very much in line with what the rancher needs to be using to be profitable in the future. That's the best thing ever happened to us.
It does make a difference that we can see, day in and day out.
It's the official monthly publication of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. The National Cattleman is produced exclusively for Ncba members and includes coverage of the news and events affecting our industry. From Capitol Hill to the far side of cattle country, the National Cattleman provides information Ncba members need. Every issue includes market analysis, feature stories, and practical management tips. Start receiving your copy of The National Cattleman. Call 866-USA-BEEF or go online to beefusa.org and join today.
Producers attending the Cattle Industry Convention in San Antonio received a comprehensive overview of how international markets add revenue to their bottom line. Joining us now for a closer look at beef exports is Ann Sonders, chair of the U.S. Meat Export Federation. Welcome to the show, Ann.
Thanks for having us on today, Kevin.
We've known each other for a long time, but tell folks just a little bit about your background, particularly in the beef industry.
Well, I grew up in a commercial cow-calf operation in Colorado, and my husband and I founded a company called Where Food Comes From. And since that time, I've grown and have been involved with livestock identification and traceability, verification and certification services. So 20 years ago, as an agribusiness member, we got involved with U.S. Meat Export Federation. And it was all about really looking at global markets and global trends and how we could take that knowledge back and apply it in our business. Since that time, I've become involved more in the leadership of the organization and just really feel like it's a great organization.
And congratulations on your election as chair. Tell us this, give us an update on what 2014 looked like in terms of beef exports.
So with numbers hot off the press, it's exciting to say that 2014 was a record year. We had over 7.1 billion from a value perspective in exports and 1.2 million metric tons. So that's an increase of 16% in value and 2% in volume.
Wow, so we even increased volume over last year even while we had record high prices.
That's correct, that's correct.
That's outstanding. And give us your sense of the value or the importance of exports. I hear a lot of people who wonder and question sometimes how important exports are. My understanding is it really is about maximizing the value of each one of those cuts. Is that right?
That's exactly right. So when you look at the international markets, to me it's really a value-added marketplace for the beef animal, because when you look at optimization of carcass value, if I can sell a liver here for more money and a round here in this particular country for more money, then you're optimizing the value. And when you put that all together, in 2014, that equated to an additional $300 per head per fed animal that the export markets contributed back to that price.
So when you talk about export markets, what are the top 4 or 5 markets that we sell beef into?
Our top value market and continued top market today is Japan, and we have also a very strong market in Mexico, Korea, and then Hong Kong. Hong Kong exports continue to grow at record pace.
And what do you see ahead in 2015 in terms of international opportunities for the beef industry?
So we're looking for another continued good year for exports. We do have a few challenges. You know, we have continued restrictions. We're out of the Russian market. We continue to be out of the China market, which are potentially big markets for the U.S. beef industry. So we hope to continue to look at ways to get back into those markets from a market access perspective. And then right now we have a critical issue going on the West Coast where we have 29 ports that are basically at a standstill because of a labor dispute issue. And that's a big problem right now for exports because about 80% of our waterborne product actually goes out through those ports right now. So that's a huge problem that we're hoping gets taken care of rather quickly.
Is there anything else you'd want to share with the cattlemen and women watching our show?
You know, I just would like to say thank you to all of them for their continued support and the contributions to the checkoff into the international markets. You know, we see it as a very bright future. 96% of the world's population is outside of our borders. So when we look at future demand, this is a really good place and return on investment for those dollars, and we very much appreciate them.
Thank you so much for your leadership for our industry, Ann.
Thank you, Kevin.
To learn more about the work of USMEF and U.S. beef exports, visit their website at usmef.org, or you can visit our website, that's cattleman2cattleman.org. Still to come on Cattleman to Cattleman, we'll tell you about all the great benefits of becoming a member of Ncba. Stay with us.
New Holland is the undisputed leader in hay tools. We give farmers a wide range of innovative equipment that increases efficiency and productivity all year round. Because to us, smart means providing a smooth, clean cut with faster dry down, plug-free conditioning, and superior bale density. And smart means leaving less hay on the field to feed more livestock in less time. That's New Holland Smart. Visit your local New Holland dealer today.
Some call it a come from behind victory, an unlikely win, a reversal of fortune. The feeling of snatching victory from the jaws of defeat. This is our moment, our victory dance, because we choose confidence. We choose Zuprevo for BRD treatment.
Are you going to do this every time we treat a calf with Zuprevo?
Absolutely.
Well, all right then.
Don't let BRD interfere with his performance. Treat it with Zuprevo and get him back to his home pen. Zuprevo is a fast-acting, long-lasting BRD treatment that you can count on to get the job done. Ask your veterinarian to prescribe Zuprevo. Choose confidence. Choose Zuprevo for Merck Animal Health.
Ncba membership pays off for cattlemen and women in a lot of different ways. Joining us now to talk about all the benefits of joining Ncba is Kate Maher, Senior Director of Membership. Welcome back to the show, Kate.
Thanks, Kevin.
Give us a quick membership update for Ncba.
Well, we're really happy to say that Ncba membership is growing. We have gotten a lot of new membership from within the producer rank, and we are very appreciative of the support of cattlemen and women across the country of our efforts to support their industry.
And for folks out there who are involved in the cattle industry but maybe not members, why should they become members of Ncba?
Well, you know, membership supports our policy staff in D.C. It gives us a voice as an industry in D.C., and when you talk about Washington, D.C. and the political climate and really just kind of how weird Washington, D.C. can be sometimes, it may seem a far away from your operation, but there are decisions that are made there every day that affect the cattle business. We are proud to be the voice of the beef industry and the cattle industry in Washington, D.C. It is so important, especially now, that we stand together as an industry and make sure that our voice is heard and our interests are represented, especially when you talk about very well-funded special interest groups that have an agenda to put agriculture out of business in this country. We want to make sure that our cattlemen and women are producing good old-fashioned, healthy, nutritious American beef and can do so for a long time.
And if that's not reason enough, there are some really neat new member benefits going on right now. Is that right?
Yes, there are. Thanks to our friends at Zoetis Animal Health and the support of them, new Ncba members will receive a 1-liter bottle of Dectomax Poron, the dewormer. So you can look at it as you buy an Ncba membership for $100 and you get a $105 liter of Dectomax. So you can buy a membership and get free dewormer, or you buy a dewormer and you get a membership. So it's kind of a win-win and your money's back right there.
Even CSU grads can kind of figure that one out.
Especially CSU grads can figure that one out, Kevin.
And tell us about some of the other unique partnerships that we have with some of our sponsors but are only available to Ncba members.
Right. We are very fortunate to have the support of really great companies that support our industry because of what we do for their customers too and for the industry. John Deere and New Holland and Caterpillar offer exclusive benefits to Ncba members on purchases on new equipment. So if you need a new hay baler or a new tractor and you're an Ncba member, make sure to take advantage of those benefits because you're earning enough money to pay for your membership for several years. I bet your wife needs a new pickup, Kevin, and as an Ncba member, you can get some really nice money off, thousands of dollars off Ram trucks. They have really a nice program that puts the money back in our members' pockets. For sportsmen out there that like to hunt and fish, Cabela's has a really nice program where you can get a 15% off discount on a Cabela's gift card and use those anywhere. So that's really nice. Again, just really nice ways for us to be able to say thank you to the members for their support and put some money back and add some value back into their operation.
Lots of great benefits. What else would you say to our viewers about the benefit of being an Ncba member?
Well, first of all, again, you're having a voice in your industry and you're supporting the people that are there defending you every day because we need our members in the field. We need them in the pastures raising cattle. Yep. But we have some great producer education opportunities. We want to make sure our members have the cutting edge information they need to stay successful in their operation. We provide that. We have a monthly newspaper that members get an annual subscription to that has a lot of good market information and weather information and lets them know how their membership dollars are being spent. It's just great information and a way to stay up on industry issues.
That's great. Well, thank you for everything you're doing for the industry and for continuing to bring new and better benefits to our members.
Thanks, Kevin.
If you want to take advantage of all these wonderful benefits, you have to first become a member of Ncba. Now, it's easy to do. Just visit the website Ncba.usa.org or call 1-866-USA-BEEF. Coming up next on Cattleman to Cattleman, we'll hear what two of Ncba's volunteer leaders think about the current state of the industry. Stay with us.
This is yours, and so is what grows there. Not theirs or theirs, yours. You need this to fight this and this to grow more this. Because the more of this you feed them, the less this you spend on that, which leaves more of this here. Don't let them take this from you. Chaparral takes care of weeds and brush, and that's that.
Have you seen this one? It's the Big Bud 747. And now you can hear the story of this amazing machine from its owners in Montana and from the man who built this awesome tractor all those years ago. Order your very own copy of the DVD, Awesome, the story of the biggest tractor ever built. It's chock full of facts about this powerful tractor that featured a 16-cylinder diesel engine that generated 900 horsepower and could work an acre a minute. Order the DVD Awesome by calling 1-800-888-8979. Or you can shop online anytime at the website classictractors.com.
I'm an Ncba member because Ncba, they look at the facts, they look at the history, and they look what's good for the industry.
It's important to be Ncba members just because of what Ncba does. They keep us informed about a lot of things that are going on nationwide.
The reason we're an Ncba member is we think that it's the best voice that the cattle people have.
Join Ncba today. Head to beefusa.org or call 866-USA-BEEF.
Did you know Ncba is driven by grassroots producers just like you? Joining us on set now are two people responsible for making decisions for Ncba, Kevin Kester, Policy Division Chair, and Jennifer Houston, Chair of the Federation Division. Kevin and Jennifer, thanks for coming to the show.
Thank you. Thanks, Kevin.
Kevin, tell folks just a little bit about your operation out in California.
Sure. I'm a fifth-generation cattle rancher from the central coast of California, a little community called Parkfield, population 18. Been there since the 1860s, my family has, and we are a commercial cow-calf and stocker operation. We also farm a few acres of wine grapes.
You know, we've heard so much about the drought situation in California. Update us on the weather situation.
We've been through 3 years of severe drought, especially we're in the bullseye in the central coast of California, so it's been fairly significant and devastating for our family operation. And this fourth year we've had some rainfall, and we're very hopeful and anxious for Mother Nature to provide us some rainfall and get us out of some of this drought.
Yeah, you guys have had a tough situation. Jennifer, tell us a little bit about your background.
My husband and I own a livestock auction market in Sweetwater, Tennessee. In the eastern portion, we've been a family-owned business since 1962. We also have some cow-calves. We have some stockers because people in the market business sort of have everything. Feed a little cattle, do a little bit of everything. Grew up on a farm, have an animal science background, been involved in the market since I got out of college.
And your role in the Federation, tell us a little bit about some of the key accomplishments the Federation has seen over the last year.
Federation State Beef Councils, in cooperation with the CBB, are really thrilled about our switch over to digital advertising. It was a big sort of a paradigm change from our print media. Our radio media made the decision, and this is our first full year, and the absolute numbers that we're getting from our digital advertising are so impressive, from Facebook, social media, and it's just so easy. We have to be very targeted with our funds now, and digital allows us to do that. We don't just shoot to the masses, we shoot to our target audience, which is the older millennials with young children, and it's just amazing what it's accomplishing so far. We're thrilled with this, with our numbers.
It's a big decision, but it looks like it's paying off.
I think it is.
And Kevin, from a policy standpoint, what would you identify as some key accomplishments over 2014?
Well, the last session of Congress, as everyone understands, I believe, was very challenging for our issues. We had some great successes in lame duck Congress. some tax issues, and we got inserted into the omnibus and cromnibus bill at the end of Congress. And so that was Section 179 and bonus depreciation are two examples, and those were great successes I'm proud to talk about. We were also able on the public lands issues to get some language inserted into the Defense Authorization Bill, which helped some of our producers on some of their public lands issues, and so that was a success story at the end of last Congress.
Let's talk about priorities in 2015. Jennifer, first to you. From the Federation side, what is your anticipation of some of the key issues that you'll be working on?
Well, I think they'll continue to be the same. We've got tons of, it's all consumer issues, but they range from environment to antibiotics to hormones, so we always are fighting that fight. We're looking forward to a long-range plan committee that's working on what our priorities, whether we have some shifts. We're going into our 4th year in our new committee structure, and it's really working well. I think people really have it under their belts. They feel comfortable with it. We're getting great feedback from the committee structure, which tells us that the grassroots committee structure really works. For the first time last year, we had some written feedback from the committees as they scored, and it really helped the operating committee, who makes the decisions on how our checkoff dollars are spent, to make the proper decisions from the input from the producers like me and Kevin and everybody that come here to summer and annual convention and sit there and listen, and they're really responsible, and I want everybody to know they're responsible for the decisions that are made at all levels.
And Kevin, what would you say from a policy side of the business?
For going into this next year?
You bet, 2015 priorities.
We've got great challenges, as I hope everybody's aware of, going into this session of Congress. We're thankful that we have the Senate under a different majority now, where we can have maybe a little bit more of a working relationship on some of our issues. Waters in the United States is our #1 big issue that we're going to continue to work on. There'll be probably some proposed regulations coming from our government on that issue from the U.S. EPA that we're going to ask our producers countrywide to help us push back on. Right now, on top of our list at the start of the year, dietary guidelines with USDA and Health and Human Services is an issue that it's important to our producers as it relates to the next 5 years and the usage of federal funds and recommendations for military, school lunch programs, senior nutrition. It has a big effect on what beef usage could be in the next 5 years through our federal government. And then we've got tax reform possibilities coming up in Congress and a host of other issues. So our plate is full, but we're really anxious to get started, and I'm really positive we'll have some success.
That's outstanding. Well, you both are great examples of producers who commit your time and energy and efforts to help the whole industry, and we really appreciate your leadership and your service to our industry.
Appreciate it, Kevin.
There are many reasons to become a member of Ncba, and one of them is a chance to read the National Cattleman. It's the official publication of Ncba, and it provides timely news and articles about the issues and events affecting the beef industry. A subscription is included free of charge when you become a member of Ncba. Joining is easy. Just give us a call at 1-866-USA-BEEF or visit us online at beefusa.org. We're back with Baxter Black after this quick break.
Overcoming adversity is part of the job, and loyalty isn't a word you just use, especially when everything is on the line. You've had good times and stood strong in leaner years. We've always been right there with you. Introducing the John Deere Livestock Loyalty Program. Special savings is our way of saying thanks for investing in John Deere.
Don't miss the 2015 Ncba Legislative Conference in Washington, D.C. It's your opportunity to meet with key congressional and federal agency influencers and to let them know where cattlemen and women stand on critical issues that impact the cattle business and our way of life. Make plans to be in Washington, D.C. March 24th to the 26th for the 2015 Ncba Legislative Conference. Together, we can do more. Details at beefusa.org.
Working your cattle just got easier. Introducing the new Vet Gun delivery system, a new way to apply topical insecticides to your cattle. The Vet Gun lets you remotely treat cattle with effective parasite control, so you can do it from an ATV, on horseback, or just walking among the herd. It's that simple. The proven topical insecticide AML Vet Cap is used with the Vet Gun. It works fast to control horn flies and lice while minimizing stress on your cattle. Fast, easy, effective. VetGun. Check with your animal health supplier for availability.
We know who made that hitch. We know who cut the steel, who milled the ball, and who welded the seams. We know who tested, measured, and checked. We even know who thought the whole thing up. We're B&W, and we know your hitch. Because we don't make them halfway around the world. We make them all right here. B&W. Trusted.
There's a special group of folks in the cattle business that think beyond the next rain, the next calving season, or the next bank loan. They're the purebred breeders. They're academically minded and study bloodlines and traits like EPD, scrotal circumference and calving ease. They're like astrologers looking for new stars in the genetic sky. And then they package their selected combination of genetics into an individual live bull or cow and offer them to us, cattle producers. They give us a choice. So there's bound to be someone, somewhere, who has the cow genetics just for you. There's a strange group of people who speak in sacred tongues. They gather in convention halls and really test their lungs. And to those on the outside, they're godlike and they're wise as they try to win a convert with passion in their eyes. They begin to speak of bloodlines, of cows their bull has sired. With evangelistic reverence, they truly are inspired. Recounting her performance and weight per day of age, they rattle off her record, reciting page on page. Her progeny's outstanding, their birth rate sure to please. She's ranked above the average in relative calving ease. Well, she might be black or Bramer, Gelbfie, Maine Anjou, Simmental or Santa, just to name a few, Herefords, Poulder Muley, or some foreign-sounding name. But it doesn't make much difference, 'cause the story's all the same. They breed the purebred cattle and know their cows by heart, and they'll talk your dang fool leg off if you let them start. But I gotta give them credit, 'cause resting in their hand is the blueprint of the future for cows throughout the land. So I'll try and learn the business and call a bull by name, but I've made one observation about people in this game. Listening to these purebred folks makes me think right now, New Delhi's not the only place they have a sacred cow. This is Baxter Black from out there.
Thanks, Baxter, for another entertaining and insightful story. Don't go away. We'll be back with more from San Antonio right after this.
Hi there, I'm Joey.
And I'm Rory, and welcome to our farm outside Nashville, Tennessee. When we go to work, whether it's on tour or here at home, we wear the West.
That's right. Whether it's that perfect snap shirt or that perfect pair of boots, when you wear Roper, you wear the West.
Learn more about us, Joey and Rory, and about Roper Western Wear at eroper.com.
Telling the truth and being real and feeding my family a home-cooked meal, that's important to me. That's important to me. And planting the garden and watching it grow.
Hello, I'm Kevin Ochsner, host of Ncba's Cattleman to Cattleman. Each week, we travel the country to bring you the latest cattle industry news and information. Check us out at cattlemantocattleman.org or on Facebook and Twitter.
Want to help elect officials who understand the needs of the cattle industry? Then visit beefusa.org and check out the Ncba Political Action Committee online auction page. There, Ncba members can view and bid on a wide variety of exciting travel and merchandise, and the funds go to support Ncba's work in Washington, D.C. You must be a member to contribute to Ncba PAC, so don't wait. Join today.
We we can't all run for office or travel to Washington, D.C. to speak with each representative or senator, but you can have an impact on the future of the industry by contributing to the Ncba Political Action Committee. Joining us now with a closer look into Ncba PAC is Chairman Jim Strickland. Jim, welcome to the show, and I'm a little concerned about you coming packing heat today.
Well, we are packing heat, but I can tell you, we don't need a gun, but we need the bullets to put in the gun, because the PAC are the bullets that we give Ncba to help support us and get those folks elected that we want elected.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about some of the key goals of Ncba's PAC.
Well, the goals are that we really need to have the funds to support, whether it's Democrat or Republican, those folks that, like the ranching industry, support what we stand for, our families, our land rights, and they need money. Yep. And they have to be elected, and that's what the PAC is for. Ncba is the greatest organization representing cattle ranchers in the world, but we need PAC money to help support those people that really support us in Washington, D.C.
So put yourself in the shoes of so many of our friends and neighbors back home said, I'm really not a political person. How does the PAC benefit me as a cattleman?
Well, I can tell you, every single state has folks they send to Washington, D.C., and we have the greatest team up there with Colin and Christina, Kent Baucus. They are wonderful, but we have to get those folks elected that they have the opportunity to talk to, because if we don't support them when we walk through those doors, they're going to know the difference, and that's what the PAC's for. We truly show support financially for those folks that stand for what we do.
So if I want to put some bullets in this gun, how do I donate?
Well, there's a lot of different ways you can donate. One is, this rifle happened to be donated by the Region 2 group. All the states in the southeastern United States for our online auction that we have had at our annual convention that happened in San Antonio. And this was just simply one. We've had nilgai hunts from King Ranch, and you can bid on those. One time a year, you can bid on those items and really help the PAC. Also, you can make donations like this rifle to our PAC. We have some people that they will give us a credit card. They trust us. They'll give us the credit card and say, every quarter, would you please take out the maximum amount that we believe in the PAC?
That's outstanding. And you mentioned a little bit about the auction. Maybe you can tell folks a little bit about the auction page that the PAC does.
Well, we started one last year. It's a brand new idea.
Yeah.
This year it has really skyrocketed. In fact, our auction people that facilitated it called us yesterday and said, we have done multitudes of auctions every month, and you just had the highest response rate ever in the history of our auction group of people that had signed up and started bidding on all the auction items that you have. So look for us next year. We're going to keep this up. We're looking for donations. We're also looking for folks that want to buy these great trips, and go meet your friends in Florida. If you're in South Dakota in the winter, we want to see you in Florida at a quail hunt and maybe fishing for tarpon.
And one other thing I wanted to ask you about, when I was in the D.C. office the last time, I saw those plaques that you have with people's brand on them. Tell us how we get one of those.
It's really easy. And we tried to do this for everybody in every state at every different level, that it's $2,500 to get your name and your brand on a beautiful plaque that hangs in our Ncba office. What we did was, for $500 a year, you can make payments on this. That way it's affordable for every ranching family in America to have their ranch brand on the wall whenever your congressmen, women, or senators walk into our office. And a lot of them are walking into our office. They're going to see your name and your ranch brand, and they're going to get their picture taken next to it.
Beautiful plaques and a great way to contribute to a very, very worthy cause. Thank you, Jim, for coming on the show, and thanks for all you do for the Ncba PAC.
I tell you what, it's well worth it. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. Want to help elected officials who understand the needs of the cattle industry? Then visit beefusa.org and check out the Ncba Political Action Committee auction page. You can bid on a wide variety of exciting travel packages and great merchandise, and the funds from the auction support Ncba's work in Washington, D.C. You must be a member to contribute to the Ncba PAC, so don't wait. Join today. It's time now for this week's Legacy Photos. Let's take a look. Now remember, you can send us your own legacy photos by visiting our website, cattlemantocattleman.org. Include your ranch name, state, and hometown, and we may use them on a future episode. Next week on NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman, we'll take a closer look at Cattlemen's College and what makes this annual event so special. And we'll show you how to maximize forage production on limited acres. Plus, expert insight on what it's going to take to rebuild this nation's cow herd. And of course, another visit with the always entertaining Baxter Black. Well, that wraps up this edition of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman. Thanks so much for spending time with us. We'll see you again next week right here on RFD TV.